Welcome to a TLDR Season of Discovery guide for the Sunken Temple in Phase 3, for anyone who didn't power level through dungeons in the first 20 minutes of release. The Sunken Temple Raid has 8 bosses, starting with Atal'alarion. The totems he spawns buff his damage, and Demolishing Slam is a hit of raid wide with a knockback. You destroy the totems by getting knocked through them, so spread out to make sure you cover them all. Then kill the boss before you miss too many and the smash kills you all. Next up is Festering Rot Slime. Everyone needs to keep moving backwards through the corridor, because if he slimes over you, you'll be eaten and eventually drown inside him. Make sure melee are extra careful or just don't bring any. He gets a stacking speed buff that you need to clear by destroying objects along the wall. When you hit him 5 times, the stacks reset and he deals a few hits of raid wide, so healers be prepared for this. And ranged can LOS this with the columns at the sides of the room if they're fast enough. He also puts a poison on a bunch of players that drop shit on the floor when it's removed, so try to drop them at the edge. The third boss is the Atal'ai Defenders, 6 bosses that spawn one at a time when the previous one is killed. When you kill one, they respawn as spirits that can't be killed, so you need to keep them CC'd, using things like Shackle Undead or Hunter Traps, or just deal with them all for the whole fight and enjoy the shit show. Zulor charges on random players and deals AoE around him, so move away before his cast goes off. For Jammal'an, interrupt his healing wave and renew, purge his thorns to save your melee, destroy his healing totem, and AoE his snake totems. For Zolo, interrupt his chain lightning casts, and he spawns Atal'ai totems that summon skeletons, so get rid of it quickly. Gasha deals AoE around him every so often and gains a stacking attack speed buff with every swing. Have a tank kite him around permanently, or taunt between a few players to let the debuff drop off before he mulches your raid. Loro will disarm anyone nearby, so have melee run away, and interrupt demoralizing shout to save melee their passes. He also fixates on random players, so squishies be careful of standing too close. And lastly, Huku summons 3 warlock pets for some tickle damage. Shadow Bolt and Shadow Volley should be interrupted, as well as Curse of Blood that increases physical damage taken. Remember to keep your CCs up on the spirits and you should be fine. Next are the twin dragons, Weaver and Dreamscythe. Don't stand in the poison on the edges or fall into the hole in the middle. They share a health pool with only one active on pull, and both have the same 2 abilities. A frontal acid breath that gives a dot to anyone hit, so tanks face them away, and they fly to the edge of the room and cast a big knockback with raid wide damage, so watch your positioning to not be the star of another hurricane edit. At 80% they'll swap places before 60% where they're both active at once. Have a tank on each, but if you can't take multiple stacks, have a third tank tag in for whoever needs it to save unnecessary wiping. You now get both knockbacks one after another, so make sure to position yourself for both of them without being knocked in the hole. And after the knockback, tanks watch the frontal to not give the whole raid a debuff. Next up are Jammal'an and Ogom. In phase 1, one tank hold Jammal to the side while everyone else focuses Ogom. Holy Nova throws out Nova bubbles at your feet, so move out of them. Ranged sack up near the middle of the room, and tanks kite Ogom around the edge whenever the Novas appear. Kick Smite and Agonizing Weakness, and for healers, Holy Fire puts a dot on a few players. Once Ogom is dead, Jammal slurps him like a froob and starts phase 2. Continue moving the same way as phase 1 as he still casts Holy Nova. Shadow Sermon Pain puts heavy dots on a bunch of people, so dispel them ASAP. Purge his power word shield to not waste damage, and Psychic Scream is a fear, so melee should run away. And for healers, Mass Penance is a few hits of heavy raid wide damage, so be prepared for the cast. Keep your movement on point, or it'll be about as clean as your browser history. Next is Hazzas and Morphaz. Face the boss away as he has a frontal with a dot similar to the twin dragons. He also casts Backfire, knocking away anyone behind him, so melee should stand to the side. And for healers, Dreamer's Lament is a dot on a few players to spot heal. At 80% he summons a bunch of flame elementals and starts casting Lucid Dreaming, sending everyone into the dream when it finishes. The ads drop fire on the ground when they die that force you to run while taking damage and preventing you from going inside. Dip into the fire just before the cast finishes, but if you go in, either kill a vine to spawn a portal or get someone to run fire over your sleeping body to bring you back. At 30% he casts Lucid Dreaming again, but without the ads, so you'll all be sent inside. You get 30 seconds to blitz the remaining boss health to finish the fight before you're all one-shot. And this DPS check is pretty high, but it can be done by LOSing the Lucid Dreaming cast, so whether this is intended or not, it may be your only option until it's patched. Next is the Shade of Eranikus. For tanks, he has a frontal with a 100% armor reduction debuff, so face him to the side and swap on every cast. He also has a tail swipe, so everyone stand to the side of the boss with ranged and melee stacked in groups. Bellowing Roar is a raid-wide fear, so interrupt it. Lethargic Poison is a dot with a hit chance reduction, so cleanse it ASAP. Deep Slumber spawns a sleep cloud on a few ranged players, so move around the room whenever this is cast. And Waking Nightmare is lethal damage to anyone awake, so run into the sleep cloud just before this goes off to negate the damage. At 70%, the boss falls asleep and spawns 2 ads that both cast Deep Slumber and Lethargic Poison, but both can be interrupted, so kick them as you kill them. After 20 seconds, the boss wakes up and starts phase 2, using the same abilities as phase 1, but now spawns waves of Whelplings. They spawn around the boss and chain cast on random targets, so try to group them up as fast as you can and AoE them down, or tank the boss against a wall to have them spawn closer together. At 40%, he sleeps again, summons the same ads for you to kill, and when he wakes up, he now spawns waves of Scalebane ads instead. These cast Acid Rain, dropping small bombs from the sky which really hurt if you're hit, so avoid as many as you can. Have some ranged cleave these down, but now it's a race to kill the boss before you get overrun. And the last boss is the Avatar of Hakkar. You get 60 seconds before the Avatar spawns to kill off the Ritualists and DPS the Bloodletter as much as you can, as it reduces the boss health. He shoots blood missiles at players, so move out of it. Interrupt his fear and move out with chains, then remove the curse or you'll chain people near you, but this can also be decursed. When the Avatar spawns, range stacked together, melee to one side, and a tank in front and behind. For healers, Blood Nova is a hit of raid-wide damage every so often, so you have have something to do. Insanity mind controls someone, but it can be purged, so do it ASAP. Curse of Tongues reduces someone's cast speed, so interrupt or decurse it. And for tanks, Drain Blood is a frontal that deals a hit of damage with a 100% healing reduction, so swap in every cast. Most importantly is Corrupted Blood, similar to Hakkar, a dot that spreads to anyone nearby. You remove it by standing in the tank frontal, so if you get it, stand behind the tank away from the group and make sure you get hit. And for healers, anyone being hit will get the healing reduction debuff, so make sure they're topped off. If anyone doesn't move out in time, they'll give it to the entire raid and you'll all probably fucking die. Make sure you have a big ass weak aura for when you get the dot and stick to this rotation to eventually kill the boss. And that's it for the Sunken Temple. Congrats on your clear. It's a good thing Blizz nerfed these bosses, so maybe now you don't have to cheese them. Like and subscribe if you found these useful. I'll catch you in the next one.